Hey folks, this is Matt once again coming at you with a review for Jan Hall. Did not want to forget this. Jan Hall had sent me this brand new Blu-ray of District 9, so I figured why not, when I watch it, give it a review. District 9 is directed by Neill Blomkamp, which I remember when I first saw this being really impressed with the film, and watching it again, I'm still really impressed with the film. I still really enjoy this film. I know the director's doing another film called Elysium. That was another film that I did this Q&A with John. By the time I'm doing this, it's not uploaded yet, but when it is, I'll let you guys know. People were asking me what films I was looking forward to, and I mentioned Riddick, but I forgot about the other one, which is Neil Blomkamp's second film, Elysium, with Matt Damon. Taking the glass up. And District 9, Peter Jackson produced this. This is still a really good film. I mean, the gist of the story, in Johannesburg, this ship arrives and it's just sitting there, and they go up to open it, and you have all these malnourished aliens that they nickname prawns. So they set up this little District 9, pretty much a slum for these things to live in. And in the beginning, you have a lot of interviews and such. A lot of people don't want them there, and it's like, well, why do they have to be here? Why can't they be somewhere else? And it is to a point in the film where they want to relocate. They want to evict these prawns, and they want to relocate them to another place. So they have to, for paperwork issues, give them something. So even though they don't really understand what they're signing, but to sign in order to legally go from point A to point B. And then we introduce our main character played by Sharlto Copley. And he's a guy who, I wouldn't say he's innocent. He's a little bit, like, when you first see him, he's very nice, he's very chummy, he's very, like, hey, how you guys doing? Because he's being followed sort of by a camera crew. But it's not found footage or anything, but he's talking to the camera, and they ask him questions, talks a little bit about his wife, really loves his wife. He gets promoted, is very excited about it. And I think someone says that he's not too bright, but he's still a very nice guy. And he's a guy who, I don't know, you just say he doesn't, I don't want to know if, it's not that he doesn't quite get it, but at the same time, he's a little bit, I almost want to say clueless. Because, for instance, he's with this guy, and they go into this place. They go from shack to shack, and it's, of course, a slum, so you have weapons that are being held there, as well as others. And you have this place where there's AIDS. It's like, oh boy, overpopulation. We gotta get population control. It's like, no, it's just fun. You just do this, and when these AIDS are hooked up to something for nutrients, and he just takes one out, and you hear the squeal of the aid, and the guy just thinks nothing of it. It's like, oh, it's just, just do that, and it just goes to sleep. And then when they burn him with a flamethrower, he's like, oh, you hear that pop? It's like popcorn. See, the guy doesn't quite get it, and in a way, you don't really like this guy, and you don't really like a lot of the humans for what they're doing. And unfortunately, you can kind of see, I know there's a lot of issues that you could put in, whether it be race and whether it be, I guess that's the big particular one, race, among other stuff. And I thought the themes were explored well, and the way they set up the whole location, and the way they used the budget. I mean, this was a $30 million budget, and it doesn't look that. It looks double that. I've seen $100 million films like John Carter and the Total Recall remake, and this film looks better, and to me looks with some better CGI than those films, than Lens Flare the movie and John Carter's ass. This looks better, and it's not just because I saw it on Blu-ray. It just a very good looking film. Yeah, you have a little bit of shaky cam, but I was actually alright with it in this instance. Didn't really bother me too much. And you have certain themes, like you have this Nigerians who are there, and they sort of, the prawns really like cat food, so they'll hike up the price so that if they want it, they can buy it. And the sad thing is, you just see certain the human race sort of doing this, even though you still have people who are protesting. Not everyone's a dickhead, and not everyone's an asshole, but sadly, you can kind of see people doing that. I'll say right here, I think this is handled better than an Avatar. I like this film much better. See, if James Cameron made this film, I'd be like, okay, but this film has more balls than Avatar, which I'll get to. And then, of course, this organization that Sharlto Copley works for, it's masked over this being humanizing and moving these people, or I should say these prawns, to another place. But at the same time, they also deal with weapons, so people know that the big reason is they want the weapons, and the weapons can only be fired by a prawn. Like, humans can't fire it. It deals with DNA. And at one point, Sharlto Copley goes into the shack and finds this little device, and this black goo liquid shoots in his face. And then you have our lead prawn, given the name Christopher, and Talton, all the prawns toss his, so you can only understand what they're talking about in the subtitles. And pretty much, Sharlto Copley's character goes through a transformation. Kind of remind me a little bit of David Cronenberg's The Fly. That he's slowly transforming. His arm gets to like a prawn, and he gets put into isolation and then put into testing. And they pretty much torture the shit out of him to see what makes him tick. And they put him up, and because, oh, now you can fire a gun, so test all these guns. They prod him, so he's forced to shoot the gun against these dead pigs, and dead carcasses of pigs and stuff. And then this one moment, they bring a live prawn, and I do like that Sharlto Copley says, "No, no, no, wait, wait, come on, let him go. He didn't do anything. I'll shoot the dead pigs and stuff. I'll shoot the carcasses, but come on, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He doesn't want to do it." So that's like one of the first steps into liking this guy. First off, feeling sorry for this guy, and you can tell he really loves his wife. He just wants to get back to his wife. And I like the actress who played his wife, and the actress, the character wasn't a bitch. She was confused, but she was always trying to. Well, she was confused, but then at the end, she wants to see her husband again. And he's like, "No, I don't want to do it." And they make him do it, and then the prawn blows up from the weapon. Ultimately, he escapes, and they have to chase him, and he escapes into District 9. And he finds that same prawn that prawn has a kid, and the device was for this fuel so that it can go into the mothership that's been hanging around the whole time, and wants to do some stuff so that go back home, and that way he can come back and get all of his people out of there, and so they can get out of there. And pretty much Sharlto Copley and Christopher, the prawn, made this deal that, okay, I'm going to get you the device, we're going to go back in there, but I'm going to get fixed up. And they do, and you get some really, it's definitely R-rated. You do get some big gory moments, because when people get shot, they get blown the fuck up, because these energy weapons that the prawns have. Sharlto Copley and the prawn, they go into the organization. They really fuck things up. I mean, or essentially, Sharlto Copley really fucks things up. He shoots a guy, and it blows up in a gory fashion. The prawn says, "You weren't supposed to kill anyone." And Sharlto Copley goes, "He shot at me first." He shot him right in his. Thankfully, he had a vest on, but he shot him. He's like, "He shot me first." And really fun action scenes, just a lot better to me than fucking Avatar and such like that. Plus, it's rated R, so it's definitely gory and it's definitely like, oh shit. Um, so I love the whole sequence in there when they get in, they have to escape, and I love that it has a bit of motion because the Christopher the prawn sees that there's been medical experiments and he's a little bit phased about that, which is understandable. But I like that they actually made you like, this prawn. They actually gave it a character. They gave it a look. It has this sort of red, I don't know if you want to call it vest or coat or whatever you want to call it. Uh, it has a certain amount of emotion to it, which I liked, but it also has some imagination too, which a lot of times can be very lacking. This is a film that's not a remake, it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel, it's not based on a TV series, it's not based on a fucking cartoon. Is it 100% original? No, you do have elements of alienation, the fact that aliens came by, and maybe elements of a lot of other films as well, but pretty much nothing is original these days. Pick any film, I can name films that it's similar to. But I thought it was done. It was handled well. It was directed very well. I mean, if this is the guy's first feature-length film, I think it is, then man, he did a fantastic job. And when they get out of there, again, Sharlto Copley's character, you kind of gain his sympathy again, but then you kind of lose it because Christopher tells him that it's going to take 3 years, but I gotta get my people first. I gotta save my people first. And again, Sharlto Copley does something very stupid, which granted, he wants to see his wife again. That's his main concern. But he knocks the Christopher out, tries to drive the ship himself to the mothership, and of course fails and gets captured. Then you have these sort of little, not drug lore, but Nigerian lore of the slum of District 9. They want the arm. They want to know how he got that so that they can fire the weapons as well. They also believe a little bit of voodoo and, if you eat the flesh that you'll have the power and all that stuff. Kind of voodoo type of stuff. But then you also have these big mechs, which again, this was handled better here than it was in Avatar. It really was, these big mechs. Because apparently you can operate it yourself, but it's also automated. So if you see some alien DNA that it's invoked in trouble, it will defend it. And it defends Sharlto Copley against these humans. And fucks them up. I mean, you have people exploding. It shoots something in this guy's head, the main lord's head. His head pulses up in a big red goo of explosion. Yeah, there's mixture of CGI, but there's also some practical as well. I thought it was actually handled well here. It was fun to watch, I will admit. I know I sound like a gorehound, but it was like, oh shit, because you rarely see that kind of stuff nowadays, especially. Uh, and then then the Christopher, he's about ready to kill, and Sharlto Copley again. He gets in the mech suit. He's like, "You want him? Fine. I'm just gonna go." So he runs off, and you're like, come on, Sharlto Copley. But then he hears that they're going to kill him, and this is where you get the big redemption. And I think that's why I could sort of deal with, oh man, Sharlto Copley's character, because it isn't meant to be, in real life, someone doesn't change that quickly. It takes a little bit longer. It just made, I think, it made the redemption that much more, yeah. Because it's like, okay, finally, he's not thinking of himself anymore. He's going to save, Christopher, the prawn. He's going to save him, and he fucks people up and he says, I'm going to get you back to your son. Get back home. And even the things like, no, 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 it's like, no, we're going to do this. You just stay behind me, and just fucking things up one by one. I mean, people are exploding, yeah, using the high, badass mech suit. Very well done action sequence. I'm not going to explain every single moment because if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Uh, I love the little bit of moment where Christopher distinctly says, "I will be back for you. Okay, 3 years. I promise. I will be back for you." And Sharlto Copley's like, "Go, go," and gets to the shuttle with his kid, and they get up to the mothership. And Sharlto Copley's going to have this last stand. And then, just fucking people up. There's a car. Just really well done, exciting, violent, adrenaline pumping sequence. And gets to the final with this asshole, and then you find that the other prawns defend Sharlto Copley and fuck this guy up and like rip his fucking head off and stuff. Uh, and I really enjoy the ending where the woman, his wife, spends some time later, and some people, it's unfortunately unfortunately you can see this happen in real life. Like Sharlto Copley's mom, his character's mom is like, "But I'm the one that has to stay behind the answer the questions. I don't have anything." And his dad is like, "He was dead in my mind a long time ago." But it really seems there's this one guy who was his sort of his assistant. Forget the guy's name. On the day that he got splashed, he's like, you know, they weren't even hiding the stuff that well, and the guy was an innocent guy, and he didn't deserve what he got. And then really, him and Sharlto Copley's wife are the only people who really can defend him. And the girl goes, "Oh yeah, this was left on my doorstep," and people say, "Oh, I should just throw it out," and it could not be him. I think she says like, "I guess it's true," but you tell there's some doubt in her. And then you see a prawn doing that, and because earlier in the film she talked about how Sharlto Copley's character would make stuff for her, and because making stuff for her it would mean much more because he made it, and you see a prawn making stuff, and you find out Sharlto Copley's character has become a full prawn. I don't know if they still live in District 9, or I guess they moved to District 10. That's the new place. And it just, what this film is, I really don't have any problems with it. Granted, Sharlto Copley's character, at times you don't really like his character, but I think that was done intentionally so that his redemption is much more fitting at the end, and maybe just say more believable. I really like that they made a prawn. They made it that we liked this character, made it an actual character. Uh, you felt sorry for these prawn creatures because either the organization's doing medical experiments or even just treating these things like shit. Like the asshole soldier just shooting it in the head and not giving a fuck, kind of enjoying it. Which again, sadly enough, you can kind of see that happening. You see, hell, we've done that with people who just have different color skin. So, but this one I thought was handled much better than, say, Avatar. It was just much more interesting. It was much more entertaining. It was much more heartfelt. It was much more... Again, this had a $30 million budget, and I'd rather watch this than Avatar. This, to me, amazes me more than Avatar's special effects. This does. Because they had... $30 million for this kind of film is actually pretty low, considering most films are 180, 90, 100, $200 million. How the hell was John Carter $200 million, but this film looked better than $30 million? And I know there was talk of a sequel, District 10. I don't know if the sequel would have been about Sharlto Copley getting back into human form, because the other character, Christopher, the prawn, said that he would be back in 3 years. If that's what it would be, or what the deal of the script. I don't know. I don't think there ever will be a sequel to this. It's just been so long. I mean, again, this was 2009. It was quite a few years ago, and I don't think there's going to be a sequel. But, oh well. I still think it was exciting, it was thrilling. When the action was there, it was like, ooh, very violent. It was imaginative. I mean, hell, the mech things, one of its, one is all, on when it's automated and it's protecting Sharlto Copley, people are shooting at it and it does this thing where it collects all the bullets and the bullets are in this ball and then it just flies back into everyone and it launches them back. So I think it just has a bit of imagination, has a bit of a heart. It makes you kind of feel bad for the prawns, which you look at. It's kind of like how we think of bugs and insects. I mean, when you see a bug, you're willing to kill it. So maybe that's sort of our reaction. Like when you see a fly, you see a cricket, or you see a spider, a lot of times you're willing to kill it. So it's not someone that looks like E.T. or someone who looks like a Ninja Turtle or something, and it looks like a prawn. It looks like that type of creature. It's not pretty, so to speak. But I just thought it was well done. It was a director handled the material very well. The way it was filmed, the way they utilized the budget, the special effects. You have certain themes that you could go into, but at the end of the day, I thought it was a pretty thrilling action film, sci-fi action film. Very violent. Just really good film. District 9, very good film. I watching it again, I was wondering if it was going to lose any impact with me, or if it was like, I don't really like it anymore. Nah, I still enjoy the film. I still think it's a really good flick. I think it beats the shit out of Avatar. It really does. But either way, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time.